Hey, what's up, people? This is episode 59. This is Sports Debate Tuesday. Guess what? The episode starts right now. Guess who's back? Back again. Rob McLean. He's light skinned. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? What's up, people? Episode 59. This is Sports Debates Tuesday. And along with Rob, Keep It, McLean. I am Jason DeBeas and welcome into. Thank you for having us in your living room. We have a lot. I'm stuttering because we have a lot to unpack. We have so much to unpack. We got to kick some of this down the road next week, right? FIVB, they got a big thing going on in Cancun. But I think as we get more information, I think I'll opine on that. And we're definitely going to do an awards thing for the last 2 years. Best new player, hardest working coach in America, hardest working player in America. It's all going to be fun because that's our wheelhouse. But first things first. March Madness is back.
Yes.
Rob McLean, March Madness is back with a vengeance. The Fighting Illinois, gone. Oh, the great Ohio State Buckeyes, gone. West Virginia was a top 10 seed, gone.
You know about that.
Yeah. Well, three out of the four top seeds advanced. You got Gonzaga, got Baylor, you got Michigan, of course. I believe that's your favorite to win the whole thing. Mine is
Yeah.
Gonzaga. Gonzaga against Arkansas. Arkansas survived a scare, 2-point scare, if you will. Rutgers blew it, man. Rutgers blew it against Houston. They had to lead the whole time, and 3-point lead. They really mismanaged the clock, and they got 3 turnovers at the end. No points. So they deserve what they get. So Rob, let's have a little fun with this. Let's tap on this because, the Final Four is going to be next week's podcast. So the question is, we got a question 1 and we got a question 1A. Which upset did not surprise you at all?
So my upset that didn't surprise me was Loyola Chicago, Illinois. And I know that's pretty crazy, but when you're filling out a bracket and you look down at the teams and the second round is not quite the first round. There's certain games I think that you kind of just like, you know what, I'm going to come back to that one. I'm not quite sure about that, and that's like what you see with like a Davidson team or like Oral Roberts or like Syracuse being an 11 seed. You look over those games, you're like, let me come back, see if I feel a little better at it. And that's just the same with Loyola Chicago. When they enter the tournament, they're just a tournament team now. Like some teams are fantastic during the season. All those top 25 teams are amazing during the season. But when it comes down to crunch time, one person to beat, teams in front of you, some teams just have that little thing about them, and that's kind of what Loyola Chicago, I feel like, has become as a basketball school, so that definitely didn't surprise me. I'm super happy for them, and I think they absolutely earned it. But I definitely picked that matchup.
Okay, Rob, Keep It, McLean. I totally agree with you with Loyola Chicago. We saw them in 2019. I believe they made the Elite Eight or something like that, or maybe the Final Four. And I think they have something that goes beyond just player talent. When you see a team like that in the mix consecutively, you start thinking, okay, they got good recruits, but do they recruit like Duke? Do they recruit like this? And you're like, no. And then you go to the coach, and I'm like, okay, we got good coaching. And you got this guy that's coaching people up. He's doing more with less, and now he's doing more with more. And now Loyola Chicago is becoming a more attractive place to play. And of course, that woman, that nun or whatever she is, as long as she's alive, I think they're gonna start losing when she dies. That's just me on a cosmic level. I'm a sports guy, and I know we want to apply sports science to all of this stuff, but I think as long as she's alive, they're gonna keep winning. I think I speak for both of us that we were not very high on the Fighting Illinois anyway as a 1 seed, and they did the right thing to deserve to be top 5 or whatever and this and that, but I thought they kind of backed into the playoffs. As they're one of the high seeds that backed into the playoffs, so that didn't surprise me. Rob, with that being said, my not so surprise are the Syracuse Orange, formerly known as the Orange Men, but because everybody's claiming everyone's all sexist and stuff, so now they're just known as the Orange. Give me a squeeze for America. This dude, Boeheim, Buddy Boeheim, Jim's kid. Everybody's complaining about nepotism. Oh, he only got a scholarship because he's his son. He's just taking up a spot on the team. Listen, chump. He's the best player on their team. He only scored 3 points the first half and then just lit it up the second half. And the game before that, he scored 16 of the team's first 19 points. This guy is indeed, in a good way, the coach's son. West Virginia looked kind of shaky at the end. They backed into the NCAA. They didn't do very good in the Big 12, whatever. I think they lost in the Big 12 quarter or semifinals. Syracuse didn't win the ACCs, but they looked really good going in, particularly this kid. And I was like, Rob, I said, wouldn't be surprised if Syracuse gets to the Sweet 16. Oh, by the way, they got a savage for a coach. They have an absolute savage for a coach. And that's my not so surprised pick. I got to go with Syracuse. Right? I really like yours. Because we weren't surprised if they got past the second round. Styles making matchups. If Loyola Chicago was in an Illinois, like a kind of almost regional thing, looking at each other from tons of videotape, tons of first-hand knowledge if they beat the Fighting Illinois. So Rob, question 1A, and topic 1 is, which upset did surprise you? And I'm going to go first on this, and I'm probably going to steal from you, but I certainly don't mind if we agree. I got to go with Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts won I forgot their conference, but they won with a last minute shot that got them to that scenario, albeit in the semifinals or the finals. And to me, it's not about win-loss records or where you're ranked as much as it is about momentum. If a team's more talented than you, then even on their worst day, they're going to beat you. But Oral Roberts did not back into the playoffs. They stormed into the playoffs. And when they beat Ohio State, I was like, okay, who else are they going to beat? And now they're in the Sweet 16. I'm going to save you the rest of the floor. But for me, I'm going to go Oral Roberts. But I will, as a joke, before I give you the floor, when you hear of Oral Roberts, do you think of a university? No, you think about that minister who is like, remember a couple of decades ago, he's like, he need a couple of $1 million or God's going to take his life or some shit like that, right? So me, I only knew about it because it made national news. I grew up a Jimmy Swaggart guy, because Jimmy Swaggart sounded like Elvis Presley when he sang those songs. He's like, more of you, right? I've had all but what I need. And that's how he sounded, just more of you. But then he started dressing in women's clothes, hiring prostitutes to laugh at him and teasing him, and then gets on TV all well out, I have sinned. And for the people that believed in Jimmy Swaggart instead of believing in God, you were disappointed, and I guess I was a little bit too. Enough religion. Back to sports. Floor is yours. Who surprised you?
So my biggest upset had to be Abilene Christian and Texas in the first round. I mean, that is, and I know same kind of deal with Loyola Chicago and Illinois being in the same state. Those guys probably have a ton of not just video on each other, but animosity. You know what I mean? Like same area, same region. They don't get to play really that much, or they don't seem like they're in the same stratosphere, as a Texas, as a second or a fourth seed. But the biggest thing was that it was a tight game. They held a team under 60 points. That's, I feel like, the biggest opportunity for an upset is to play great defense for some of these lesser teams. So holding Texas under 60 points is fantastic. They won by 2 points, close margin. I just think that totally surprised me. Probably busted a lot of brackets. But yeah, I was not expecting that one, and big up.
Wow, yeah, that's a good one. And there's something about like smaller colleges playing bigger colleges in the same state that makes them that amps them up.
Right.
They play like a half a level higher than their expectations because they're not scared of the stage. They're amped to play a team that they're under the shadow of, right? I mean, every sport's like that. If you look at
Yeah.
volleyball, there's teams that want to play. I mean, my whole volleyball career, I've earned every single win because nobody particularly wanted to lose to me, So there's some players that want to lay down and die because they respect them, but Jason, oh, the hell with you. But and New York Knicks, right? I mean, in addition to them sucking for a long time, someone goes to the Garden, they know the world's watching. They're going to overperform. They're going to play above their expectations, and that's what we saw with Abilene in Texas, and for sure that's what we saw with Oral Roberts and beating Ohio State and winning their second round. And Syracuse, I'm telling you, just right place, right time. I don't think the stage is too big for Jim Boeheim. I don't think the stage is too big for his son, who is grew up, in that kind of setting, that kind of
Right.
stressful setting. He's a coach's son. He's basically an on-court coach. So I knew the stage wouldn't be too big for him. They lit it up with threes, dude, that first round. They lit it up with they I was like, dude, come on. Get out of here with that. Congratulations to the Pac for finally representing, right? They got 4 Pac teams, Pac-12 teams in the Sweet 16. USC, who I thought was gifted a high seed, but definitely did the job against Kansas. You can't say anything about them no more. UCLA, that was like a beer bracket. Oregon got a first round bye, so Oregon State, they earned their buck too, right? Winning by 14. So big up to Pac, we're West Coast people, but I'm still an ACC guy because all of those are former Big East teams. So I grew up on Syracuse, UConn, all them teams. So
Right.
cool, man. Hey. We're going to explore a little bit of this next week because by the time we get back on, it's going to be the Final Four, right? A week from now, it's going to be the
Yeah.
Elite Eight and Final Four. So for now, we shut the door on the NCAA and let's open the door on topic number 2. This is a topic of interest. We go back to the NFL. A lot of quarterback trades, a lot of trades before the draft because people want to know if they should draft a quarterback, and I get why the hell everybody's scrambling and trying to sign these free agents and this and that. Fitz, right, signed with the Washington Redskins. Deshaun Watson, I mean, he was the highest touted trade, even with these allegations, which you and I agreed we're not going to talk about this week. We're going to kick the can down the road until more of the facts come out. And I actually would like to have Miranda on the show too, because before I talk about things where you're supposed to always believe the woman or conspiracy laden stuff, it's nice to have a woman in the room or someone who's into sports like
Different
her.
perspective.
Yes, don't you? I mean, so we ain't touching that this week, but we had to talk about it because he's a quarterback that could wind up with another team. So Rob, with these 3 choices, we're talking about, we consolidated the quarterback sweepstakes to 3 quarterbacks. So Rob, the question is, who wins the quarterback sweepstakes between these 3 quarterbacks and teams? Wentz going to Indianapolis? Stafford going to the Rams? Or Jared Goff going to the Lions?
Yeah, it's a really difficult. You want me to go first? You want to go first?
Oh, I'm so glad
Right.
you said that. I want to go first. Get
Go
out of
ahead.
my way. Rob, keep it McLean. First of all, this topic is tainted to begin with because we both agree that Jared Goff is the biggest loser, all right? That wasn't the question, so we're just going to eliminate him, okay? We're just going to take Goff.
And he lost
GLFF
Kenny Golladay.
and put it over
He lost
here.
Kenny Golladay too. He's got no lead receiver.
Yo, Detroit is where careers go to get buried. Okay,
Yeah.
even Calvin Johnson retired in his prime after Aaron Rodgers threw that bomb. He's like, nah, to hell with this football
I'm good.
stuff. All right, Goff, you're out, man. You're not in this conversation no more. So now it goes down to Wentz or Stafford. I gotta go with Matthew Stafford. Stafford's in a situation where he has a credible wide receiver core. I mean, Cooper Kupp is not. You don't think of him as a Pro Bowler, but the way that they set up their offense, the dink and dump, the West Coast offense, and occasionally have a deep threat. Running backs that could catch passes, running backs that slash through the middle. An amazing, savage coach. That knows how to coach up defense and has a heightened emphasis on special teams. It's the single best situation Matthew Stafford's ever been in his football career. You're in LA. It's finally warmer. You're not freezing to death. You have everybody that's all down with team, and you know Stafford's a team player because we've seen him play with a dislocated shoulder and score on the Cowboys on a fake spike. You know, they thought because he was hurt, he was just gonna clock it, and he just ran it in, stuck it to him. Got to go with Stafford for those reasons. Good enough wide receiving core, running game and run blocking that cushions him and that protects him from being, blitzed all the time and hit all the time. He's been injured a lot, but you know what? He's never missed games because of his injury, except for 1 year he missed 8 games because of, I think, a clavicle thing or a collarbone thing. So everyone says he's injury prone. He's not injury prone. He gets injured because he gets hit a lot. And he does not miss games as a result of that injury, unlike some of these quarterbacks out there, right, that are taking no money. He deserves his money. He deserves his situation. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the NFC Championship game, maybe against the Bucks or against Rodgers and the Packers. What do you think, Rob?
So for me, I'm glad we on a debate now. We got a debate. So,
don't tell me you chose Goff.
Oh, no. Come on now. As bad as he played last year, I think that was just a compilation, a compilation of what's happening in Philadelphia. There's just so much stuff going on. I thought Doug Peterson had a lot more of a lock on the locker room. But, obviously you'll see just, that whole team is kind of falling apart. So I feel bad for, Jalen Hurts even that, he's got to go into that situation and make it better, but probably best for him. But when we're talking about Stafford against Wentz, Wentz, I know he played so bad last year, but his potential is higher than whatever Matthew Stafford's had his entire career. That mentioned, he now has one of the best offensive linemen in the league, one of the best offensive lines in the league. So he's going to be protected. And all they got to do is get a receiver. They got a really nice running game. They got a really solid front line, and they have an okay receiving core. Hopefully they bring back T.Y. Hilton. But, man, they have a really solid team, and that's just on offense. A lot of people don't talk about Indianapolis, but their pass rush, their secondary, their a little bit front line is okay on defense, but their defense is real. Their defense is playoff ready, possibly, conference championship ready. So, for me, I have to say Wentz because he landed in the perfect opportunity. When you're talking about the Rams, yes, they have one of the best defensive players or probably the best defensive player in the league and probably 2 of the top 5 defensive players in the league in Ramsey and Aaron Donald and at the right positions too. But for me, that offense for the last 2 years has not looked like the offense when Sean McVay came in that first year, where he was, I can photographically remember the plays that they put out there so I can beat other teams. It just doesn't, I don't feel that explosive offense anymore. Maybe they don't have the players or the personnel or Goff wasn't doing it right. That team had fantastic wins, but they were low scoring wins, So again, a lot was put onto that defense and not a lot was put out for the offense. So yes, things can change, but I just don't see the point production changing with Matthew Stafford because of the system, not necessarily because of the quarterback. But yeah, I think that Wentz, man, he landed in an absolutely perfect situation, talking about the coaching, then talking about the defense, talking about the offensive line, and then the pieces around him. They have 7 picks in the draft to make a good receiving core. 7 picks for a good receiving core, and you guys are golden. And I want to see Indianapolis with a 10-win season next year.
You know what, Rob? I got one thing to say about you choosing this guy over me choosing the other guy. I got one thing to say to you. You got me. You got me. You got me. You got me on the players. Okay, you got me on the wide receiving core. I mean, listen, Wentz is the reason why someone like T.Y. Hilton would stay. And I was talking about coaching chemistry. Remind our audience listening, who's the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts? It's Frank Reich, who was his offensive coordinator during that Super Bowl year.
Yep.
Rob, keep it McLean. You got me.
10 wins. 10 wins this year.
Topic 2, man. Score 1 for keeping McLean. Listen, this team, I think at 9-6-1 or 9-7, that Rams team made it to the playoffs, and the Colts, I think, who were 11-5. Oh no, they also made it. They played the Bills. I thought they were one of the teams left out in the cold. That was the Miami Dolphins. They were 10-6, and too bad for them. Whew, How about the AFC? How about the AFC East, man? That's going to be, I mean, it used to be just like the Patriots preying on the rest of the league for a 6-0 record, but now, Patriots are going to get better. Look, they were 7-9 last year. Cam Newton, he's only going to get better. I mean, he ain't going to get worse under Bill. The Buffalo Bills, they still feel like they're on the mission. Miami, we've been talking high about them all the time. The Jets, I guess, they're the jobbers. WWE has something called jobbers, like guys that are supposed to lose to the big guys, pin me and pay me. Sorry, man, that's the Jets right now. I mean, I think everybody's trying to avoid them in the draft. So that's topic 2. Okay, topic 3. Consistent with all of our episodes, we go back to the UFC. Last week, Khabib retired, which is not news to me because he said he was retiring after he beat Justin Gaethje, and everybody was like, "Oh, he didn't really mean it. He's only going to retire if it's unless George St. Pierre comes back." This Russian cat, this Muslim dude, this Muslim Russian cat from Dagestan, Russia. Listen, when those are guys, when they say they're going to do something, they're going to do something. So for me, Khabib retiring was not news because when he said he was gone, he was gone. He doesn't need a lot of money, and Dana paid him. Right? So the money he's on, he's good. He doesn't need the competition. He's undefeated. He was a decision machine until he faced high-level competition, and then he started getting finishes. So Khabib, not news. All right. Last week, who fought last week? The main event. Oh, it was Derek Brunson against Holland. Holland chatted it up for 5 rounds, and Brunson didn't take the bait, man. Let's talk for a couple of minutes about that main event.
For sure.
Were you more impressed with Brunson not biting the bait, not getting sucked into it, or were you more disappointed that Holland basically chatted away a decision loss?
Bro, both, honestly. I was really disappointed. Because that was more Kevin Holland than we've ever seen Kevin Holland. He's usually a talker, but he's usually focused and talking when, he's breaking down their defense or, he's making them miss or, it gets them on the ground. When he's in the advantage position or he feels like, because even when Jacare was on top of him, when he felt in an advantage situation, like, oh, he's not really putting body to body to me, I can still swing. That's where I'm going to start talking because I feel like, I'm still in an advantage situation. He was talking when it was neutral, and I don't like that at all because you're not focused on finding those weaknesses and finding what's your game plan. Even if your game plan is locked in, like Derek Brunson, who, again, I was very, very impressed. I was very impressed because, I'm not the biggest fan of Derek Brunson, but the one thing that translates in every division is wrestling. So that's like the basis. If you can't, and the same thing happened with Izzy for a long time when he was making his way up, is that if you can't defend the takedown, you can't be a striking specialist because you're going to get taken down, and the same things with Ngannou in the heavyweight. If you can't wrestle, you will be taken down, and that neutralizes your entire game, because there's a whole different world down on the mat.
Yes.
So
I can show you the world.
Exactly. The whole world and your face is going to be in that canvas. See, for me, with that fight, I know that Kevin Holland's going to be a champion one day because, man, did he starch that dude a couple times and he made him feel it. But that wasn't a 5-round fight. He fought, a minute or two for each round and then, let him get close to him. Like, dude, just keep backing up. Change the angle. Hit him with punches when he comes in. Use knees. There was no knees thrown. Like, these are things that are monumental when you're trying to fight a wrestler. And I didn't see a thing. So very disappointed in Kevin Holland's performance. But I know he's going to bounce back because, he's just mentally, like, in another realm. So I know he's going to be good. Brunson, I was really impressed because it was very calculated, very planned out. And, before the fight, when you talk about who's going to win, who's going to do this and that, again, you always see, the positives on both sides, but you don't see the basis. Kevin Holland got took down in the Jacare fight. Kevin Holland gets taken down in most fights, honestly. His takedown defense is not great, but what he does is he adapts and maximizes whatever situation he's in. And so, again, I don't think he did that at all. He did that for spurts, 30 seconds of each round. But, I was pretty disappointed in his movement around the ring.
Speaking of maximizing your ability and your efforts, Derek Brunson overachieved in this match. It's a match where I thought he was ranked higher, but at the same time, and people's this gut feeling and everyone's heart of hearts, they thought Kevin Holland was going to starch him. I mean, they have some correlation to support that, like Whitaker knocked him out because Brunson chased him. Adesanya knocked him out because Adesanya lives in the Matrix. But the one difference is Brunson had a lot to say before all of those matches, and this one saw the weigh-ins uber focused. You know what I'm saying? They want to take team pictures. He want to smile. He want to, mean mug or like fight, push him for camera time to pose off. Brunson didn't bite any of that. And he's like, hey, hands up. Let's touch gloves. Brunson's nothing. Just absolutely stoic, stone cold. Knew that he didn't have the reach. Knew that he didn't have faster hands. Knew that that Holland does have one-punch knockout power in both hands. And knew that he was a better wrestler. And he's probably thinking to himself, damn, I watched Jan Blachowicz against Israel. Why am I sitting there trying to stand up and bang with Israel Adesanya? Damn. I know Whitaker's got good takedown defense, but I am an American wrestler. Why did I go after him just going left, just going 1-2 and leaning with my chin up trying to get that left in and get caught? This dude is focused, and it's weird because I see himself in a title picture where he's way in over his head again. But then if he keeps fighting like this, maybe he isn't. Because to me, I thought he overachieved that match. In that match. And he did get caught. But I guess if you spar enough times and if you got good coaching, you know how to roll with some of those things. And I was very impressed that he ate some of those shots because those shots finished a lot of people.
But see, he's gotten knocked out by some of the best of all time. I mean, he got knocked out by McGregor. He got knocked out by Izzy. He got knocked out. So, I mean, when you take shots like that, you kind of have to, you kind of know what's coming. Like, I don't think Holland hits harder than McGregor. I mean, it was way earlier in his career, but yeah, Brunson and McGregor.
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he hit him with a bolo
Brunson never
punch.
fought Conor McGregor.
Yes, he hit him with a bolo punch. I remember watching that fight too much.
What division? Brunson's 185.
His weight.
Huh?
I believe it was a weight cut into a catch weight. I'm almost very positive that it was because I remember watching that bolo punch 1,000 times, man.
Well, right now we going live with this, but I'm gonna definitely put it in. I'm gonna definitely.
We're gonna come back on that.
I'm gonna put like a little stencil in on the edit. Like, so if you write, I'm gonna be like, hey, Rob's got it, or like Rob's on crack.
Like Kevin, apparently.
Yes.
They can't believe they'd be calling him that. That's insane.
I love when he was looking at Khabib, like, any suggestions? He's looking at Khabib.
About keep your distance. How about that?
Khabib's like on his phone watching him
Stay
talk
focused. Stay focused. Yeah, I've seen that.
Hey, we gotta revisit some of this on Quick Question, but before we leave this, we got a big one coming up this week. A lot of cancellations. I was very disappointed that Volkanovski and Ortega got canceled. Volkanovski came up with the Rona, so that got canceled, and Johnny Walker was supposed to fight Jimmy Crute. That got scratched, and like this stacked card that had like 2 or 3 titles, two titles on the line only has one, but because it's top heavy, it's so worth watching, and there's a lot of good matches, but I only want us to focus on the top 3. Let's just pick winners on the main event, the co-main event, and then the main card, which right now the main card only has 4 fights, and I guess they're gonna move up something from the prelims to the main. Who knows? Let's start with the champion versus challenger. This is a rematch. Stipe Miocic against Francis Ngannou. Miocic won the first one, I think pitch and shutout ball, right? Like 5 rounds to 0. He did get caught, and he did eat a couple of shots, which we know shake the gods. I think someone compared Francis Ngannou's hits to running into a Ford Escort. So the dude's ridiculous. So I'm gonna go first on picking a winner here. Francis Ngannou got better. Francis Ngannou's improved on his takedown defense, and every fight starts on his feet before wrestling occurs. But somehow, some way, I think Stipe's going to win this again. I think he's going to pitch. I think he's going to pitch shutout ball, and he might even score a submission like a rear naked in the fourth round. I think his gas tank is really good. I think his chin is better than people give him credit for, because a lot of people think he doesn't have a chin because Daniel Cormier knocked him out. But Cormier, who doesn't have to cut weight, hits hard. So I mean, and he's a sneaky dude. He doesn't have the reach, but them short guys like Mike Tyson, you know, the little peekaboo thing where you come in with an uppercut or like an overhand. Once again, Stipe comes in as the underdog, and I'm really tired of picking against him because, you know, he's an underdog. This one I'm going with the dog. I'm picking Stipe. Who you got?
Yeah, honestly, this feels exactly like the same setup as the first one, where Ngannou is just knocking everybody's heads off their shoulders, and Stipe is, you know, just quietly being the champion. And everybody sees, like, you know, the highlights of Ngannou, and, you know, don't really see much highlights of Stipe. He's just fighting, you know, Daniel Cormier, who's, you know, a blob just moving around the octagon. So it's totally different fighters. But, you know, man, and I don't even think that Ngannou got better. I don't think he got better. I think he's just more experienced. I don't think he changed a lot of his game plan because it works. The only person that's beat him is Stipe.
Really, Stipe.
You know?
And I mean, Derek Lewis, that match shouldn't have even had a declared winner. Derek Lewis on paper has a win against Ngannou, but there were 27 total strike attempts in 3 rounds with those guys.
But even that, Ngannou lost. And if Derek Lewis lost that, it would have been Derek Lewis lost, not that Ngannou won. You know, like neither of them threw 2 punches, you know? So, and I think Ngannou, that was a really big, you know, experience, lifting experience for him, because I think that after he got took down that first time with Stipe, they came back to the next round, he was very hesitant to throw. And, you know, he didn't want to get taken down, you know, and that just made the fight just totally Stipe's kind of fight, where it's, you know, you're trying to play a chess match, you get close to him, you take him down, and then it's just like, you know, you're basically just ragdolling him, just hitting him with a couple shots. But yeah, for me, I think that Ngannou is going to win this one. I think that all he needed was a little bit of experience of, if I go out there and I just start throwing punches like the Rosenstruck fight, like, this guy can't, like, Stipe is not going to knock out Ngannou. No. You know, he might as well take chances, you know, and if he hits him with one punch, yeah, Stipe got that. He ate one punch before, but it was one punch and nothing followed behind it, right? He got hit, and then they both separated, and then, you know, was back to fighting again. Yeah. When Ngannou does his rampage thing, I mean, that is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. You know, like, seriously, I don't care if there's an NFL person. I would never want that. He's like UFC's Mike Tyson, lot worse. But, you know, he's got that power that makes people scared. So for me, I think that if he was smart, he would start throwing to the body as opposed to the head, because I know he's a headhunter. But if he could throw to that body, he's going to starch any type of wrestling move or any type of dip down. So if he can start working with a couple of uppercuts, a couple of body shots, even if he takes a couple hits, that's fine, because Stipe is not going to knock him out. Stipe doesn't even have the reach for that. So for what I'm saying is, if they really can game plan correctly, which I don't see that happening because their fights just finish too fast.
You
can't game plan for a first round knockout.
You don't see what's different, right? You don't.
Yeah, I don't.
We have the
I don't
same
see anything
here.
different.
You don't see what's different. Yeah.
The only thing I could see that would change is that Ngannou would let his hands go, especially in that first round, even though he did last fight. But he did that in a reckless manner. You know, I feel like we're saying again, or like I'm saying again, if he can game plan that reckless manner to be body shot, headshot, as opposed to 5 or 6, you know, roundhouse headshots, like, all Ngannou has to do is jab this dude, and it's gonna feel like a brick. You know what I mean?
And like you said, try to punch a hole in his chest, because a lot of classic boxers duck in and left, duck in and right. So if you just go there,
and that's where that overhead comes in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Well, to quote Greg Jackson or Mike Winkeljohn, if you want a spectacular knockout, you got to go to the body.
It's true.
Co-main event: Tyron Woodley versus Vicente Luque.
Yeah, I mean, you want this one first? Because I'll do this one quick. I think that Tyrone's done, man. I mean, I don't think that he's that type of a guy who wants to win fights anymore. And by winning fights, I mean doing what Brunson did. Sometimes I got to wrestle. Sometimes I got to fight standing up. Sometimes I just got to clench and knee him up, then put him on the ground and then just make him feel pain for 5 rounds. I don't think that's what Tyron Woodley ever wanted. I think he stepped in the sport to be a highlight player. And you know, when he lost that shine on his armor, you know, everybody was like, well, just, you know, stay away from the right. Just keep, you know, pecking him a little bit. You're going to win the fight in 5-round decision, or you can kind of, you know, put the hurt on him and maybe finish him a little earlier. But yeah, Tyrone for me, I think he's just outdated.
It pains me to agree on a large scale with you because for years I've been the biggest Tyron Woodley supporter. Same. As a human being, you see this guy, he's a wrestler, he wants to do MMA, he's putting in the work, he gets the right coaches, he respects his opponents. I remember Kelvin Gastelum missing weight, and Tyron Woodley won by split decision because this is when Gastelum was fighting at 170. Mm-hmm. And I found out later on that night, the purse that you forfeit for missing weight, like a third of your purse, Tyron Woodley gave that money back. I mean, that's just he puts all of his money into the projects in St. Louis, where he's from. He's like Ice Cube. He's one of them guys when, be true to the game. But he's not yelling Compton and moves to Riverside. He practices what he preaches. He was listed as one of one of the top 25 most influential men in the state of Missouri, period. And that's something a lot of people don't talk about. So I'm only going to defend him up to a point where if you look at his last 3 losses, the champ, Kamaru Usman, whatever, I mean, we're going to do about that. Yeah. Kobe Covington, a better upgraded version of Woodley, right? Good wrestling and just takes you down. And Gilbert Burns. These are not, I mean, even if he's in his prime, he could still go 0-3 against those guys.
I don't think so, though.
I pick him over Luque, but I will say if he loses the Luque, he should just retire. I think that's 4 in a row. That would be 4 in a row.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think.
But yeah, I agree with you. I'm still picking Tyron Woodley.
You are?
I don't think Luque's. Yeah, I don't think Luque is ready for this level yet, especially off his last.
But Luque's hungry. It's still a dangerous match for Tyron.
He is.
Tyron. They're not doing Tyron any favors by giving him burns and whatever.
That's what I mean. I think this is kind of like hey, you can kind of be that gatekeeper right now. Mm-hmm. See if this kid's ready to move up, and I don't think that kid's ready to move up, so he's probably going to get starched. But I don't think Tyron's really a top 5 fighter at his division anymore. No,
the division's evolved, and he might be a little past his prime. I'm not saying he's over the hill, but he might be a little bit past what his best was.
I just think he's the same fighter he's been for the last 3-4 years.
And the division's changed, and he's
everything's. I mean, look at all these guys like Charlie Oliveira. Would never make it in the division 4 years ago. You know what I mean? But there's so much that he's doing now. Like, he's not going to knock anybody out, but he's going to put pain on people. He's maybe going to submit you. He's maybe going to take you down. He might just clinch. He could kick. He could punch.
Well, for him, moving to 155 was the key for him. 145 sucking down and this and that and getting those losses. 155, his win-loss record is ridiculous. This is why he has a title shot. But yeah, Vincent Luque, I like the match because they're not doing Tyron Woodley any favors. They give him a hungry young dude, and it's really time to see if the old line's ready to give up the goods and pass it on to the young line, or if it's his place to say, hey, step back, it ain't your time. I'm still up here, So, okay, third, let's do one more, and then we're gonna move on to shame or not to shame. Sean O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida. Now, I like Thomas Almeida. He was undefeated till he faced Cody Garbrandt. He's one of them guys that likes to get after it. And even though Sean O'Malley is a good striker, I think it takes accurate striking and power to finish Almeida the way Garbrandt did. And he's very, very long reach like O'Malley, and his wrestling is highly underrated. And I think O'Malley at 12-1 is I'm loath to say is geared up for another loss here. And I mean, I'm trying to be unbiased, but I want guys like O'Malley to win because he's good for the sport, right? Just like we want Kevin Holland to win because he's chatty or whatever, but he's not. I mean, it's not like a douchey thing. You want him to win because he's good for the sport. He's going to be on the ESPN's highlight, whatever. Gotta go Thomas Almeida on this one, though.
they're both some of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC, inside and out. With me, Sean O'Malley, man, especially watching that last fight, and he's been pretty much in the hurt train, the injury train for a while. I think that he might have to think about a division change. He's a long, lanky fighter, and unless he starts thinking about submission games, and how to work the ground. Again, like we're talking about, like Charles Oliveira is like a perfect all-around type of fighter, where you can take down, where you can strike. I don't see Malley being very, like, it's the same, like, if you're going to get taken down, you're going to get beat up. You cannot be a striking specialist without some sort of, especially takedown defense or just, ground game.
Especially
and
if
that's
he's
what I
in,
see.
especially if he's in it to be the champ. If you're in it to be the champ, you have to look at all of the obstacles in front of you. Look at like the top three in front of you, right? I mean, even Dominic Cruz will house him right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, and Dominic Cruz is like on the outside of the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a better matchup for him. I just think anytime he's against a wrestler, he's got a game plan. Anytime he's got against a guy that could take him down, he needs a game plan for that. And that, again, like we're talking about with Ngannou, it's as simple as throwing knees, throwing body shots, throwing kicks to the body. There's so many people who have gotten head kicked while they're trying to dive, like we were saying, trying to duck under or trying to go change levels and take down, and they just find themselves into somebody's shin. So again, I think it's just a different game plan. If you're fighting a wrestler, not that you fight defensively, but you have to fight aggressive defensively. Like you're on your back foot. Anytime they come at you, you kick them. You throw a knee. You do something to the body, or you give an uppercut. Something to keep them from changing levels. And then when they're on the defensive, you go on the offensive. You do what you do best. But you cannot go out there and be aggressive offensively, because then you put yourself in a position to be taken down. You can't go out there and be passive, because then that guy's going to walk you down like Derek Brunson, get into a clinch, and then put you on the ground. So again, like there's just different levels to this. And I think O'Malley has talked himself to a higher level than his skills.
And now it's time to either he performs.
And now it's time to,
but man,
you're getting.
But man, did Brunson put a Debbie Downer on as far as like blueprinting on how to reminding people on how to face good strikers.
Yes,
it's
people.
like God damn it, Brunson, you had to remind people who were wrestlers that they shouldn't fall in love with their hands and get knocked out by these K1 dudes or Muay Thai dudes. Jan Blachowicz, right? How about that, right? I mean, Jan is like, why are you getting baited into fighting a freaking Muay Thai or a K1 dude,
Right.
Or a Grand Prix dude? No.
I think it's also like, you see what Khabib did, and that's just domination. He barely even had to be on his feet to dominate people.
Yep.
And then you see what Blachowicz did to Izzy.
Yeah.
And then that was just like, you didn't expect it to be that lopsided. You see what, it happened to Ngannou last time with Stipe Miocic. I think that wrestling is the best basis you could have for the sport.
That was a schooling, dude. That reminded me very much of like TJ Dillashaw against John Lineker, 135, who was like just starching people, and they thought he was gonna starch TJ, and TJ's like, I don't have the knockout power to take this guy, but I'm gonna take him to school. I'm gonna throw a head kick. I'm gonna throw a body kick. Come in, lift him off his feet, dump him on his head, and try to punch him, try to elbow him in his face. So, bad example, but as far as like because of what TJ got caught for, but I haven't seen as far as like schooling like strikers, like just taking them to school for 3 rounds and just looking at them knowing that you ain't got nothing. I put him and Stipe against Ngannou in that same category. All right, hey, that's MMA, man. Listen, we gave y'all an overload on that, man. You're welcome. But now, Rob, it's time for topic 4, and topic 4, is one of my favorite. Rob, I give you to shame or not to shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
Okay, let's do this. Check. Let's stop the clock. Rob, to shame or not to shame, we're going to go to the NBA. Solomon Hill's foul on LeBron James. Some called it a dirty hit. Some say it was clean. Some say it was incidental. So if we're going to go shame, it's because it's dirty. or not to shame because shit happens, okay? So, Rob, to shame or not to shame? Solomon Hill's foul on LeBron James, which is going to sideline him for a while. Floor's yours. Go.
Yeah, so I would have to say not to shame, especially when, they both came out and saying, how Solomon Hill said that, LeBron knows I didn't mean to do it. Everything's okay. But this play actually takes me back to Patrick Beverley and Russell Westbrook from the Western Conference, finals or something like that.
Yep.
And Patrick Beverley did the same thing. He cut under, the ball carrier and kind of cut out his knee and took him out of the game. And Russell was out for a while. But to me, it's just, I don't want to call them lazy, but it's lazy ball handling. You have a ball in your hand, you can't be putting it out there for a defender. They should immediately go and do that. Bad passes, bad posture for a ball carrier. So for me, I just think that that's good aggressive defense. And, offensive player tries to put themselves in between the defender and the ball. It's no one's real fault, but, you just don't want those things to happen. So it's just unfortunate.
Yeah. Me, Rob, I got to go shame for all of those same reasons. I say shame because if you look at the replay, and I mean, slow motion does it an injustice because slow motion doesn't really tell what you're feeling in real time. But with that being said, once there was a scramble for the ball and once LeBron established possession and the ball was high and the guy was low, he had no reason to keep going low. He got undercut, and I mean, sometimes things happen when someone puts their foot down in your body. There usually it twists your knee. This time it got on LeBron's ankle, and it was a high ankle sprain. And a lot of it looks incidental, but in light of the fact that you and I both brought the attention of Beverly and Russell Westbrook, it's almost a technique. I mean, sometimes you're hitting the ground to go after the ball, but to me, you hit the ground to go after the ball because the ball, it's on some level is on the ground, or on some level the ball is at eye level or below eye level to you, and that ball was way above eye level. And I gotta go shame, man. That looked. I know he apologized or whatever, but in real time, that just looked dirty, man. Dude, that just looked dirty. You know what I mean? Maybe at the end you sorry that he got injured because of that, but I mean, now LeBron. I mean, LeBron, man, at the MVP race, he looked like he was looking pretty damn good until that happened. But just the same, as long as he apologized. I mean, he's not a dirty guy, Like if you look at his reputation, he's not a dirty player. He's not flagrant fouling people like.
No, but I think the same thing, and I'm not saying that Patrick Beverley is not a dirty player because he's done a ton of things. He talks a lot, but there are the work harders, the guys who are in that position in the league because they bust their butt. Yep. They do their work, they 100% effort all the time. And when you're playing a guy like LeBron, who's Solomon Hill's 6'4". LeBron's 6'7", 6'8", 200, an extra 40, 50 pounds on him. So most players have to play very, very physical against LeBron. And then when you say, you're trying to go for a steal, he's just trying to go like heavy as he can. And then if you put you lean your body against the other guy who's 60 pounds heavier.
You're fighting for position. Yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of have to throw yourself into him to fight that position. So it's just, again, really unfortunate. But I don't even think LeBron should have been in that situation. I think he should have been a much more in an athletic position to make a move away from that defender as opposed to, kind of standing tall and being relaxed when that defender is close that distance already. So for me, that was just kind of,
freakish. Again. Freakish, yeah.
You got to be aware, All
right, cool. So that's to shame or not to shame. But now topic 5, we go to quick question. La, la. Rob, let's see if we can lighten them out, but if it's super necessary to follow up, do what you got to do, okay? Quick question, thumbs up or thumbs down? AJ Green signs with the Cardinals. Yeah, go thumbs up. Yep. Quick question, Trent Williams, 6-year, $138 million contract with the Niners.
Big ups.
Thumbs up.
How old is he going to be after 6 years? Oh, my goodness.
My God. Quick question. NFL planning for an in-person draft in Cleveland. Good idea or bad idea? I'll go first on this. Bad idea. I mean, go
Yeah.
one more year virtually. One more.
Yeah,
I mean, it
I
ain't
don't
gonna
get
hurt
what I know. I
nobody.
know everybody wants their thing, their shine, but you're gonna get it.
Okay, quick question, Rob. Nick Foles is out of Chicago. Should he go back to Philly as a viable backup?
Probably because I don't know who else is gonna pick him up. I think his career is coming to an end.
Philly's a good place to end his career as a backup.
Yeah.
Philly loves him. I mean,
Or Miami.
look,
I like
you
Miami
win a
too.
ring. No, Philly don't care if you suck. I mean, they'll boo Santa Claus, but they'll cheer Foles. So I say
That's true.
That's a good idea. Quick question. We revisit this topic every month, but now that the demographic has shifted, I'm going to ask the same annoying question. Who wins the NFC East?
Woo! So this ain't gonna be quick. But I'm gonna tell you the G-Man gonna win it because they just got 3 big time free agency signings, man. We just got a Dory Jackson, big time cornerback. We got Leonard Williams back, and we just got our number 1 wide receiver in Kenny Galladay. So we're actually gonna have to draft a lineman in the draft, and then we're gonna have a real team. We're gonna see what's up. So it's gonna be Giants this year in the NFC East.
I got to go with the G-Men. You know why? Because as talented as the Cowboys are, some way, somehow, when you count on them, they will let you down. Accident waiting. Accident waiting to happen. I'm a hater. Yes, I am. No, but listen, Fitz with Washington, Fitz finally got a defense, but once Fitz gets his money, you know how he acts. So I'm not even, Philly's a hot mess.
He'll play
Philly's
5
a hot
good
mess,
games.
so
First
G-Men.
5 games, he's gonna light it up. After that,
Gotta go
back
G-Men.
to Fitz.
Gotta go with you, G-Men.
Yeah.
Quick question. Should the Warriors trade to get Alonzo Ball? Yes or no?
I don't think so. I think the team they have right now is going to work out. They just need a little health.
Get Thompson back. I say no. That's a big
Pretty
no.
much. Yeah.
Quick question. Will Pro Bowl safety Keanu Neal help the Cowboys?
Oh, for sure. That's going to be the best pickup for this division. I was surprised when I saw that happen, and I think that's the one position they really need to improve at. So,
Yep.
Yeah, big signing.
You got to go yes with that. Quick question. Oh, man, that's a Deshaun Watson thing. Is it starting to look like a conspiracy to be continued next week? Nope. We ain't touching that.
Yeah.
Nope. Quick question. How about this? Which one was the better signing? Galladay for the Giants or Deshaun Jackson for the Rams?
Yeah, I mean, I got to go with Galladay just because there are no wide receivers that are number 1 capabilities in New York. And then, Deshaun Watson's kind of past his prime now. So he's kind of a one-trick pony. So, yeah, I got to go with Galladay here.
Nice. Quick question. Should Juju Smith-Schuster have signed with the Ravens instead of staying with Pittsburgh?
Absolutely. Oh, man, I feel so bad for him. But at least it's a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
He can pick again next year. So.
Look, he has a better shot at winning a ring with the Ravens, but he definitely has love in the city of Pittsburgh. So, but I guess I gotta go with you. Yes, he should have. That was an opportunity, and he should have. LaMelo Ball fractured his wrist. Did he still do enough to win Rookie of the Year? He said, "Not what
Yeah, I think so. Though I mean, it's you're 3/4 way through the season, and he is the best rookie I've seen in a long time. A long time.
They said he was.
He's not
better
really
than
a
his
rookie,
brother.
but
Right? They said he was better than his brother, and they were right. This dude is.
He's better than both his brothers and his dad combined, and that's not saying a lot.
And he speaks killer. The dude's a killer, man.
He is.
When was the
definitely
last
got
time
the
the
ice.
NBA had a true Rough Rider instead of someone just thumping their chest and performing sometimes? This kid performs every night, dude.
On all places too.
Yes.
I mean, assists, rebounds, scoring, defense. Like maybe not as much defense, but yeah, he's a player.
Yep. Cool, man. That's it for quick question. Last topic. And man, we're running on time, dude. Before we go, a shout out to a female. Maybe you got one, maybe you don't. But I think this is the last week, and I got to give it up to Becky Hammond. Becky Hammond currently is the assistant coach, the top assistant for Popovich for the San Antonio Spurs. But her path to get there, man, was so deserving. And she was with the San Antonio Silver Stars. She averaged 13 points a game, 19, but 19.5 was her best season. And that was like kind of a championship run. She lost in the finals to Detroit. But some games in the playoffs or some series playoffs, she was averaging 20 points per game, which is ridiculous. She's led the league in free throw percentage 6 times, and one season, Rob, 1,000. She hit her last season in the league. She hit every single free throw. Talk about taking care of controllables. This woman is awesome, and we're running out of time, but I want to have I got a quote here from Pau Gasol. Said, "I played with some of the best players of this generation. I played under two of the sharpest minds in the history of the sports, Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich. And I'm telling you, Becky Hammon can coach. I'm not saying she can coach pretty well. I'm not saying she can coach enough to get by. I'm not saying she can coach almost at the level of the NBA's top male coaches. I'm saying Becky Hammon can coach NBA basketball, period."
I remember that. Yeah, that was a real quote. Yeah, like my woman is more of a culmination of the U.S. gymnastics team, but more specifically Simone Biles. Biles. I can't remember how to say that name correct, but but even just before her, the Olympics, where the U.S. women's national team, had to deal with all these Larry Nassar things that were going on. And while I was watching that, that Olympic Games, there was something I always had to watch that women's gymnastics and be like, what's wrong? What's going on? Like they're in the greatest place they could be. Other people look, distraught, but other people look, stressed, but they look distraught. And they still came through and won, all around gold. They won floor gold. I think they won a couple more like silvers, bronze. And then the next year, Simone Biles comes in, the next Olympics comes in and just dominates, and it just shows how amazing the U.S. gymnastics team really is. And it's just sad that, one person really took down a lot of their, mental fortitude, so I just want a big shout out to U.S. women's gymnastics team of being strong and standing up for yourself. And hopefully you're in a safe environment now.
Well, to quote the great Morgan Freeman in the movie Shawshank Redemption, I guess some birds' wings are too shiny to be caged. Through
That's
all
true.
of that, she still shined. She still got the rub. People transcendent in a sense, and our definition in the classic sense of the word transcendent means that people that don't watch the sport know who you are. Big up to her. Great woman. Shout out. This is Women's History Month, so we're trying to do one woman every single thing and to attach to our category before we go. Also, before we go, R.I.P. To Elgin Baylor. Starting to finish his entire year career as a Laker. I do have a memory of him scoring 61 points in a Game 5 in the playoffs. So he's 20 plus points a game. He's one of those guys that deserves his respect, and the Laker community, heart wears their heart heavy for him the last few days. So R.I.P. to Elgin Baylor. Rob, before we go, is there anything you'd like to tell our audience before we leave?
Stay safe, stay happy, keep doing what you love.
See, that is love from Rob. Keep it McLean. That's Rob. I'm Jason DeBiss. This is episode 59. I love you to pieces too, man. And for this episode, until next week, we're out. Peace out, people. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.